This is my answers for the chapter 5 discussion. I typed up all of the answers first and in regards to the questions regarding Curtis, and then now I'm reading off of my computer of the answers that I typed up. So, in relation to the 7 dimensions of an ABA intervention, the case study team, which would be Curtis's case study team, uses each dimension to help support and encourage Curtis's social communication. The case study team uses the applied dimension, the concept of the reasoning, why they want him to practice social greetings. Additionally, the case study team for Curtis also makes sure that Curtis is able to access this goal through his social surroundings and also make sure that the goal is attainable for him. It is very important that as special education teachers, case study teams, case managers, that the goal that we have created for a student is attainable and reachable. If it's not, then then there's not going to be success in the goal in the end, and stuff like how we have it like from a year from now to their IEP date or whatever it may be. We want to try to have that goal be attainable. And so if it's something that maybe won't be attainable for them, then maybe it's something that we can look into the future as a goal. But we always want to make sure that their current goals are something that they can reach, that they can attain. The discrete trial teaching can also be seen or used similarly as a first then. That's when I was reading about discrete trial teaching, that's the first thing that popped in my head was like a first then or like a first then prompt. First, a stimulant is explained, presented, and shown to Curtis. Then his target behavior or his target action is completed, and then the reward is given to Curtis due to the desired behavior or action being completed. Curtis's teacher can present him. So, for example, Curtis's teacher can present him with a visual board of a first then or first then, which will show an icon of the task that is asked of Curtis to do. Then the reward choice option for Curtis is also an icon that is also presented on the board as like the reward, as the then, the final. This will show Curtis that first he needs to do the action that is required of him or the task that is required of him, and then he will receive, in this situation for him, the computer time. Even though Curtis screams when he does not get the computer time when he wants it, I believe that the teacher should still not give in to him and give him the computer time. Just because when we give in to students in situations like that, really easy to get them to stop. The students can start to pick up that like, oh, if I do this, then she will just give it to me, right? Or if I do this action, like I'll be able to get what I want, and stuff. And so our students are very smart and they'll pick up on situations like that. And so I think it's very important that we as teachers, we stick to our ground. And if no means no, no means no, if you didn't do what was asked of you, then I'm sorry, we can't have the computer time, and even if like another student in class does the same thing, like wants the same outcome and does that completed task, then it can be shown to like, hey, so-and-so completed the task to receive the computer time. If that is what you would like to do, then this needs to be done, because we can't just give in to our students, because then they'll be able to pick that up, and then it'll become a point where it's going to be too hard to control and we won't have that control anymore. And so I think that teacher should stay firm in her, in her system. I, continuing on to the questions, I would do both the, sorry, let me go back, I didn't write it. I would do both the reinforcement and punishment in Curtis's situation. When Curtis has behavior, I would approach it with the reinforcement first for a few times. If the reinforcement does not work, then that's when I'd switch it to the punishment. Because what could work for one student, like say one student, reinforcements work great, work like a piece of cake, and punishments just set off the student and does not help, then we obviously know that the student works well with reinforcements rather than punishment. But it could be vice versa for a different student. So it's always important to figure out which works best for each student, and then to go with that option. And then over time, maybe the reinforcement was working great, and then now it's not anymore. So it's okay, now we need to see if we need to switch to punishment, and yeah, it may work. So each student's different, so it's best that you get to specifically really know your student to know which process works best for them. I do think the incidental teaching, I do think it could be helpful for Curtis, just because when Curtis screams, the incidental teaching can be used to instruct him that when asking for something, he must use an inside voice and ask nicely rather than, his outbursts, rather than his screams. This could help remind Curtis that screaming or shouting in the classroom is not allowed. And when wanting something, we must do the work instructed in front of us and then ask nicely after completion. Hopefully that will help Curtis and get him to practice asking for the computer time nicely, or asking for his like desired reward, in a nicer tone and in a nicer way and in a more constructive way. But again, it may not always work, so what may work one day may not work the next day, may not work at all, may work for a while, so it's literally just day by day with our students. And so I think that's going to be something with Curtis, that it's going to be something, a lot of feeling and figuring out what works and what helps best with him.